number 10 with Debbie Reynolds versus Elizabeth Taylor. Debbie and Liz used to be pretty good friends, but when Elizabeth Taylor's husband Mike Todd passed away in a 1958 plane crash, Debbie's husband Eddie Fisher consoled her, which eventually developed into an affair. Speaking to the Daily Mail in 2010, Debbie said, "I was the last to find out about it. There had been hints in the papers and I had noticed that when I turned up at functions or parties on my own, friends were whispering. Although I didn't want to find out the truth, I had to face up to it. Even so, it was a great shock to find them together. It left me shattered." Interestingly, it was none other than Star Wars' Carrie Fisher who mended the fence between these two. Carrie Fisher was Debbie Reynolds' daughter, just FYI. Carrie co-wrote the film These Old Broads, a film around 3 feuding former Hollywood stars. In the film, Debbie and Elizabeth shared a scene that was a not so subtle reference to their previous scandal. It was Carrie's way of getting them to bury the hatchet and move on, which they definitely did. At number 9 on the list, we got Naomi Campbell versus Tyra Banks. Early in Tyra's career, she and British supermodel Naomi Campbell had a very open and public feud. Tyra recently spoke out about the experience in the Wall Street Journal. It wasn't a rivalry. I'm very sensitive to that word because a rivalry is between two equals to me, whereas one was very dominant. She was a supermodel and I was just this new girl that had got on a plane from Paris and was studying fashion and magazines. As much as I was booking fashion shows, people didn't know I was going home at night crying my eyes out because the woman I was looking up to seemed like she just didn't want me to be there and was doing everything in her power to make me go away. Although at the time Tyra thought Naomi's behavior toward her was just plain evil, now she understands the fashion industry and it was all about a token. Naomi was the token black supermodel and Tyra was the new black girl that was gonna take her spot. But it seems like these two do have a lot of respect for each other. In a 2015 interview with Elle, Naomi Campbell praised Tyra Banks and said, "I'm proud of her as a woman of color. She's given girls opportunity and God bless her." At number 8 we have Elton John versus Madonna. There are few pop stars more iconic than Elton John and Madonna. Both are trailblazers in their own right, but Elton and Madonna have been feuding since about 2004. Madonna doesn't usually address the feud in public, but Elton has been known to let his mouth run away with him. Here are a few examples of Elton talking trash about Madonna. While accepting the award for Classic Songwriter at the 2004 Q Awards, he said, "Madonna, best live act? F off. Since when has lip syncing been live?" Sorry about that, but I think everyone who lip syncs on stage in public when you pay 75 quid to see them should be shot. Thank you very much. That's me off her Christmas card list, but do I give a toss? No. Then during an interview with Carson Daly at the 2012 Golden Globe Awards, Elton was asked who had the best chance of winning Best Original Song that night. He then said Madonna didn't have an effing chance of winning, and she actually incidentally won the award later that night. At number 7, Paris Hilton versus Nicole Richie. It was more than a little dramatic when childhood best friends and co-stars Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie declared war on each other. It was at the height of their fame from the reality series The Simple Life that they suddenly decided that they didn't want to be friends. It was honestly super difficult to open a magazine in the early 2000s and not read about Paris and Nicole. Paris said in a statement to press in 2005, "It's no big secret that Nicole and I are no longer friends. Nicole knows what she did and that's all I'm ever gonna say about it." Well, that isn't cryptic at all. So why do we think that these two best friends suddenly had a falling out? People magazine reported that Richie was jealous of all the attention that Paris Hilton was getting from the media. She was also reportedly not invited to a few of Paris's events and she was left out when Paris appeared on Saturday Night Live. What did Nicole Richie do in response? She apparently had a party to celebrate Paris's appearance on SNL, followed by a screening of Paris's 2003 adult film. That's cold, dude. That's ice cold. It seems the two made up eventually. They filmed 2 more seasons of The Simple Life. They don't hate one another, but their relationship just isn't the same. Kind of unfortunate these two had a falling out because they were both it girls together, but without each other they both kind of fell off the trending page. At number 6 we have Joan Rivers versus Johnny Carson. Johnny and Joan used to be good friends. For 20 years Joan was one of the most popular guests on The Tonight Show. That is until she decided she wanted to host her own talk show against Johnny Carson, the king of late night TV. It took a long time before Joan Rivers would get her big break. It was arguably Johnny Carson who gave it to her. She auditioned for The Late Show many times without success. By 1965 at age 31 she was told she was washed up by most of the industry, but her appearance on Carson's show in February 1965 was her one-way ticket to the top. After that she appeared on the show 100 times alongside Johnny Carson. When Joan started her own daytime talk show in '68, Carson was the first guest. She often credited him with giving her her big break on the show. She would fill in for Carson as a guest host, then eventually became the main guest host when Carson was away. But when Carson was going to retire, NBC put together a list of replacements. Joan wasn't on the list. So she ended up going to Fox Television and signing a very lucrative $10 million deal with her husband as the producer. Joan made the mistake of staying quiet about the deal, and she assumed that Carson would be supportive, but eventually the news leaked out and Carson found out. Joan reportedly tried to call him, he hung up on her, then he said that she didn't call him. They never spoke again before Johnny Carson died in 2005. And unfortunately, The Late Show on Fox was a failure. Joan separated from her husband, and then her ex-husband committed suicide shortly after, leaving Joan Rivers in a mountain of debt. Halfway there, at number 5, we have Lindsay Lohan versus Hilary Duff. During the early 2000s, there were two teen it girls of the moment. We got Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan. Both were Disney stars that were way too famous for their own good. Honestly, these two should have been friends with all the things they had in common: acting, singing, Disney, but they also had a person in common: Aaron Carter. Hilary Duff met Aaron Carter on the set of Lizzie McGuire in 2001, and they dated for about a year and a half. But then, according to BuzzFeed, Aaron broke up with Hilary Duff to be with Lindsay because he was bored. Then Aaron went back to Hilary Duff, and Lindsay accused her of stealing her boyfriend, something Hilary denied was true to Allure magazine in 2008. She said, "I've never stolen anyone's boyfriend. I don't know how you do that." She was talking about it and I wasn't. It made us both look bad and put up a big weirdness. At number 4 on this list we have Kanye West versus Jay-Z. Kanye and Jay-Z worked together for a long time, since the 90s when Kanye was producing tracks for Rockefeller Records. Kanye praised Jay-Z in tracks like Big Brother, but then subtly referred to their sibling rivalry and accused Jay-Z of copying him when he did a collab with Coldplay. Fast forward to 2009 and the infamous incident took place. You know, the incident when Kanye took the microphone from Taylor Swift, who won for Best Music Video at the VMAs, and said that Beyonce should have won instead. Beyonce was freaking out, and apparently she cried over it. She felt very bad for Taylor Swift. In 2011, Kanye and Jay-Z released their album together, Watch the Throne, and then they went on tour together. But by 2013, Jay-Z spoke in interviews about the challenges of working with Kanye. It became really apparent that the feud had begun when Jay-Z and Beyonce did not attend Kanye and Kim's wedding in 2014. Kanye later said that this was when the beef actually started. Kim was then robbed in 2016 in Paris, and afterward Kanye criticized Jay-Z for not reaching out to her to see if she was okay. From then on, Kanye released a track with the lyrics "Kill Jay-Z," and then Kanye left Tidal. The documentary Public Enemies was released. Recently, however, like in the last couple of years, it seems that Kanye and Jay-Z have finally reunited. The Carters wore Kanye's clothing on Instagram, and Kanye and Jay-Z were seen on video in the same room together in 2019 at Diddy's 50th birthday party. At number 3 we have Donald Trump versus Rosie O'Donnell. There isn't a single person on this earth that isn't aware that Donald Trump and Rosie O'Donnell hate each other. Rosie is pretty much Donald Trump's arch nemesis. The feud dates back to December 2006, when Donald Trump decided not to fire Miss USA Tara Conner after it was reported she was using drinking while under and other not-so-Miss USA allegations. After Trump announced he would give Tara a second chance, Rosie said on The View that she doesn't enjoy Trump, adding that he went bankrupt, something Trump has always denied. Rosie said Trump was not a self-made man, but a snake oil businessman, and Trump reportedly responded by calling Rosie a real loser, little fat Rosie, and a woman out of control. Trump has called Rosie names publicly many times, and she's hit back many times as well. Here's an example from 2011. "I feel sorry for Rosie's new partner in love, whose parents are devastated at the thought of their daughter being with Rosie, a true loser." Rosie responds with, "At Donald Trump, wow, you're an in every way." At number 2, it's Katy Perry versus Taylor Swift. Katy Perry and Taylor Swift actually used to be good friends. They were photographed together at award shows as early as 2009, but it seems the feud started in 2013, and it's rumored to have been over none other than John Mayer. Taylor and John were rumored to have dated. Then Taylor released a song called Dear John, I'm sure you're aware of it. A couple years later, Katy Perry posted a photo of her and John getting cozy. Then in 2014, Katy and Taylor got into a beef over dancers. Taylor was going on a world tour. She used 3 dancers who used to dance for Katy Perry. Then the dancers approached Katy to work with her on her world tour instead, and would have to leave halfway through Taylor's tour. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Taylor said that her song Bad Blood was about another female pop star who did something, quote, "so horrible that it made them straight up enemies," adding that she basically tried to sabotage an entire arena tour. Adding, "she tried to hire a bunch of people out from under me." Katy and Taylor threw shade at each other on social media, in their music, in interviews, until 2017 when Katy finally apologized to Taylor. For now, it seems that these two have buried the hatchet. Taylor sent Katy some cookies. Katy took a picture of it and said "peace at last" in the caption, but who knows if they're ever going to be as good friends as they once were. And at number 1 on this list, we have Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. I know I've already mentioned this in one of my other top 10s. No feud even comes close to this iconic. There were so many crazy incidents between these two that Ryan Murphy couldn't even get to them all in his miniseries Feud based on Bette and Joan. Like many a feud between two powerhouse women, this rivalry began because of jealousy. Joan was an accomplished actress, but she was getting older. Bette was the new hot young actress on the scene. Bette was also jealous of most of the men Joan had bagged, including Clark Gable and Franchot Tone, who ended up marrying Crawford even though Bette was in love with him. Crawford did try to win Bette Davis over, but all the flowers and gifts she sent to her next door dressing room were returned. Eventually, there was no mending to be done. They would talk about each other night and day. They would to the director every night. They're mutual friends, and this was especially difficult because they were co-stars for Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. In one scene of the movie where there was a fight scene, Joan had to ask for a body double because she was concerned that Bette Davis would actually beat the out of her. They would torment each other on set constantly, even while the cameras were rolling. And then when it came time for the Oscars and Bette Davis was nominated and not Joan, Joan Crawford poured some extra salt on the wound when Bette didn't win. She made it so that she would accept the award for all the other actresses nominated for Best Actress who couldn't be present there. And when Bette lost, Joan pushed past her and said, "Excuse me, I have an Oscar to collect." Iconic! Iconic! I love it.
Starting off at number 10, we have VidCon. Way back in April of 2018, Tana Mongeau made history when she uploaded her over an hour long rant calling out the biggest convention for YouTube, VidCon. In the video called Why I Won't Be Attending VidCon 2018, a rant, she gives fans a detailed look into her relationship with VidCon, telling them that she had been promised a featured creator badge for 2 years. Then she spoke more specifically of her experience in 2017, when she was a star of Joey Graceffa's Escape the Night series, telling her fans that even though her face was on a massive billboard outside of the convention, and she had scheduled meet and greets and panels, they still didn't give her a featured creator badge. And this meant that to get into events, she had to walk around the convention the same way that thousands of her adoring fans did, which of course caused a massive security issue that the security guards blamed her for. This then caused Tana to make the TanaCon convention out of spite, and you guys already know what a disaster that was. But Tana and the convention have since made up with her finally being a featured creator in 2019. In at number 9, Too Faced. Back in 2016, Nikki Tutorials announced that she would be collaborating with Too Faced, making a palette as well as a host of other products. But the feud started when it was discovered that Nikki was not paid fairly for the deal, even though she brought in millions of dollars for the brand. The whole thing started in 2017 when Jeffree tweeted out a few digs at the brand, ending with him asking if he should expose how shady the brand was with Nikki's contract. Then once it was brought up again in Shane and Jeffree's makeup docu-series, where Jeffree said he knew of YouTubers that took terrible deals and were paid dirt, Nikki decided to finally come out with her side. Quote, "I signed my contract with TF back then because I was naive and didn't know any better. At the end of the day, I signed it, it's my own fault. But what I'll never forgive is the fact that they allegedly changed the palette's quality behind my back. Thousands of negative reviews and I was clueless." With it later being revealed that she only made $50,000 well, she brought in about $8 million for the brand. Mind blowing. That is probably the shadiest thing I've ever heard. In at number 8, Teen Choice Awards. Many creators have spoken out against the Teen Choice Awards before, but one of the most vocal against them was once again Tana Mongeau. She called them out in a YouTube video she did where she focused the whole thing on shading brands. In the video, she speaks of how she did not get nominated for a Teen Choice Award, even though through the hashtags on Twitter, she was one of the people most voted for out of everyone, calling the whole thing blatantly rigged, and saying how a rep from the company basically told Tana that she couldn't win because she wasn't brand safe. But Tana's not the only one, as tons of other influencers have problems with the awards show, with Shane Dawson tweeting out against the awards saying, quote, "Dear YouTubers, please stop promoting the Teen Choice Awards. They're rigged and they just want to use your audience for traffic. Okay, thanks." Then adding in another tweet that if an internet star wins, they don't actually get the surfboard, telling fans it's been 6 years and he still hasn't gotten his. Then back in 2014, Cameron Dallas exposed the brand for telling him that he was the winner 6 days before the voting was closed, and he felt horribly for the other nominees when they kept promoting it even though he knew he was the winner. Then Matt Espinoza, another Viner, said it more bluntly, saying, quote, "Basically they picked the people almost 6 days before the voting was done and used all of us for promotion." So clearly the award show is very shady and your vote actually doesn't matter. In at number 7, Mary Kay. Natalia Taylor put MLM company Mary Kay on blast when she made a video called "This makeup brand scammed me, so I'm exposing them." In the video, she tells viewers of how she was a broke college student, and after she attended a Mary Kay party that convinced her she could get rich from selling, she got involved. But she ended up leaving the scam with $10,000 in debt because she was introduced to the Mary Kay credit card and bought way too much inventory so that she could win a free car. Saying about the company, quote, "It's just a ploy to recruit people and send them into debt while people at the top get richer." But if you've watched my top 10s on MLMs, then you already know what's up. In at number 6, Fashion Nova. Pretty recently, Jackie Aina took to her Instagram stories to call out 3 brands by name: Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Thing, and Revolve. In this series of stories, she spoke about how she has noticed that these companies that specifically profit off black culture don't speak up on black issues when they're needed. Saying specifically, quote, "As we know, there are a lot of brands who love capitalizing on black culture, black music, black aesthetic, but are dead silent when it comes to talking about black issues and struggles in our community," Aina said. Then after she made the stories, she took to Twitter to tell her fans that although the 3 brands saw it, Fashion Nova was the only one to reach out to her, and later posted a graphic to their Instagram supporting the BLM movement. Happy through number 5, BetterHelp. When BetterHelp was introduced, it seemed like an amazing way for people to get counseling on the go when they needed. But after tons and tons of YouTubers did deals with the company, there was some shady stuff revealed. After 86 users filed complaints about the app with the Better Business Bureau, several users described being charged excessive fees and claimed the counselors on the app were unresponsive, unhelpful, or just refused them treatment. Then there was an issue with the terms of service, where it was said that BetterHelp's terms of service state that the company cannot guarantee a qualified professional. After Philip DeFranco got tons of backlash for not only doing sponsorship for the brand, but also facilitating sponsorship with other creators, he decided to make a whole video addressing it. In the video, he defends all the reasons he accepted sponsorships from the brand, but saying he stopped working with them now that he learned of the shadiness found in their terms of service. In at number 4, Dote. After tons of young female influencers were sent to Coachella with the clothing app Dote, many influencers of color spoke about how they felt differently on the trip compared to the other girls. The backlash was mainly started after YouTuber Daniela Perkins made a video called, quote, "The Truth About Coachella featuring mental breakdown," immediately following the trip in April, where she spoke more about the experience and included footage of herself crying while in the Dote house. 2 other influencers who stayed at the house detailed to BuzzFeed News all of the ways that they felt slightly separated from their white peers while on the sponsored trip. After this started to pick up steam online, the company made a statement that this was not true and the beds were assigned randomly. But after so many girls had spoken out about it, it was really hard to deny, and everyone could pretty clearly see what actually happened. In at number 3, Defy Media. Defy Media was a media company that owned prominent YouTube channels like Smosh and Clever News, but was also a network for many other creators. But it shocked the internet when it suddenly announced it was going to be shutting down, even though they owed more than 50 YouTube creators roughly $1.7 million in funds. This then caused massive YouTubers to come out against the company and beg for someone to get them the money that they were owed. Ryland Adams, Matt Pat, Chris Stuckman, and Anthony Padilla were just some of the people that openly spoke out against the brand. And after the shutdown, many YouTubers and these big channels were left in limbo, not sure of how to collect AdSense as it would usually be given to the creators through that company. I even remember Clever, which I watched quite a bit, saying that they were just waiting for another media company to buy the brand, which thankfully ended up happening. But it just showed a lot of creators not to work with networks, if I'm gonna be real with you. In at number 2, Chuck E. Cheese. After Shane Dawson dropped a 3-part theory docu-series, people were very suspicious of Chuck E. Cheese, and that's because one of the theories he investigated was one that said that they recycled their pizzas. And that is why the pizzas at the restaurant almost never look like one whole pizza, but rather a sort of Franken pizza with slices coming from different pizzas and just like put together. Even saying that employees will put fresh cheese over the whole pizza, then recook it to make it all stick together and kind of look like one. Even saying in a video that an old friend told him she had seen them reuse pizza at the location that she worked at. The last piece of proof was when Shane brought a pizza to go, and after he got out a ruler at his house, determined that there was no way this was a whole pizza with no pieces missing. After the video dropped, Twitter went crazy with people demanding that Chuck E. Cheese address everything. The company ended up telling The Verge, quote, "The claims made in this video about Chuck E. Cheese's and our pizza are unequivocally false. Our pizzas are made to order and we prepare our dough fresh in restaurant, which means that they're not always perfectly uniform in shape, but always delicious. But like, if you looked at the pizzas in the docuseries, it's a little suspicious, come on. And finally, number 1, Morphe. Morphe is a brand that used to be a real hit or miss depending on who you asked. But now there's even more outrage against the brand after many influencers have publicly spoken out against them. The main backlash came after they dropped Shane Dawson from their stores because of all this drama, but refused to drop Jeffree, when he is just as bad, if not worse. After people felt the brand was incredibly hypocritical and clearly only cared about money, was when a number of influencers started tweeting out that they were no longer going to be featuring Morphe products on their channel and would stop using affiliate codes. Jackie Aina was really the first one to start the trend, tweeting out, "Hey Booze, as some of you might know, as of this week, I will no longer be a Morphe Brushes affiliate. I refuse to align myself with a company that continues to retail anti-black racist beauty brands. I strongly encourage other influencers to do the same." Then other influencers like Amanda Ensing did the same as well. And not to mention the many times that they have been called out for changing formulas without telling customers, or just done really shady things that are clearly just for money. Starting off to number 10, we have the Kardashians versus Chloe Grace Moretz. This is probably one of the more epic ones on the list, and sadly Chloe got destroyed by practically the entire Kardashian clan after this. So this all started when Kim posted a nude photo of herself. Then Chloe tweeted, "At Kim Kardashian, I truly hope you realize how important setting goals are for young women. Teaching them we have so much more to offer than just our bodies." Which personally I don't really think was all that harsh, but then Kim clapped back by saying, "Let's all welcome Chloe Grace Moretz to Twitter, since no one knows who she is. Your nylon cover is cute, boo." And then Kim wrote that the same day, and she was referring to the nylon cover here because Chloe is somewhat nude in that picture. So after this, things were done with that specific feud, but the tensions between the stars didn't stop there. After the Kardashians were getting heat on Twitter nearly a year later for something not at all related to that, Moretz low-key called out the family again by saying, "Everyone in this industry needs to get their heads out of a hole and look around and realize what's actually happening in the real world." And since Kim's sister Chloe sensed the shade here, she responded with a much circulated photo of a blonde girl having her bottom exposed at the beach, believed at the time to be of Moretz. To which she wrote, "Is this the hole you're referring to?" Then Moretz went back on Twitter to clear up the rumor that the photo wasn't about her, but it didn't matter at that point because people could not get over how savage Chloe had just been. Next up at number 9, we have Nicki Minaj versus Taylor Swift. So this is only the first time Miss Swift is on this list. Look out for her in another one. So Taylor and Nicki Minaj had a feud back in the day, and it all started with the announcement of the nominees for the MTV Award for Best Music Video. So after the noms were announced, Taylor took to Twitter to celebrate Bad Blood getting nominated. Then shortly after, Nicki made a tweet saying, "LOL you guys, did we miss the deadline?" referring to the fact that she wasn't nominated. Then Minaj continued, "If your video celebrates women with very slim bodies, you will be nominated for Vid of the Year," which now made people believe that the tweet and the one before it were about Taylor. So Taylor got defensive, writing, "I've done nothing but love and support you. It's unlike you to pit other women against each other. Maybe one of the men took your slot." Minaj then responded, "Huh? You must not be reading my tweets. Didn't say a word about you. I love you just as much. But you shouldn't speak on this," at Taylor Swift. Then a little while later she continued saying, "At Taylor Swift, I'm still confused as to why you tweeted me when I made it abundantly clear." And then she attached a picture of another tweet basically saying that Nicki wasn't shading anyone, she was just mad that she hadn't gotten the nom. Then after that things were getting super awkward and tons of other celebs got involved, like Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, Piers Morgan, and even Katy Perry. But we think the ladies are okay now. And at number 8 we have Trump versus John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. For this one, Trump was mad at Chrissy Teigen and John Legend for taking some of the credit away from him for criminal justice reform. He started off the feud by tweeting, "A man named @Van Jones and many others were profusely grateful at that time. I signed it into law, no one else did, and Republicans deserve much credit. But now that it's passed, people that had virtually nothing to do with it are taking the praise. Guys like boring musician @John Legend and his filthy-mouthed wife are talking now about how great it is, but I didn't see them around when we needed help getting it passed. Anchor @Lester Holt NBC doesn't even bring up the subject of President Trump or the Republicans when talking about it." Also note here that he didn't tag Chrissy in the tweet, as that becomes important later. Then John decided to clap back here, tweeting, "Imagine being the president of the whole country and spending your Sunday night hate watching MSNBC hoping somebody, anybody, will praise you. Melania, please praise this man, he needs you." Then adding later, "Your country needs you, Melania." Then Chrissy, who's basically the queen of Twitter at this point, got involved saying, "LOL, what a pussy bitch. Tagged everyone but me. An honor, Mr. President." But he probably didn't tag her because he actually has her blocked. Back in 2017 she reported that Trump had blocked her on the platform after she said no one likes you. But her digs at the president started way before then. Next up at number 7, we have Rihanna versus Ciara. This feud was started by Ciara, who claimed on Fashion Police that Rihanna had ignored her when they met at a party. She said, "I ran into her recently at a party and she wasn't the nicest," referring of course to Rihanna. She continued, "It's crazy because I've always loved and respected what she's done in fashion. It wasn't the most pleasant run-in." Rihanna was quick to respond, tweeting, "My bad, C. Did I forget to tip you? You gangsta, huh?" Ciara then replied, "Trust me, Rihanna, you do not want to see me on or off the stage." That's when Ree replied, "Good luck with booking that stage you speak of." And then Ciara responded, "Pure comedy." But thankfully after all that they realized this whole thing was taken way too far, and Rihanna tried to make up with her saying, "Ciara baby, I love you girl. You hurt my feelings really bad on TV. I'm heartbroken. That's why I retaliated this way. So sorry." To which Ciara responded, "Ree, you know it's always been love since day one. Doing shows and everything. You threw me off at that party. Apology accepted. Let's chat in person." And then after all that they deleted all the tweets, thus ending the tiff. In at number 6, we have Kanye West versus Jimmy Kimmel. So these are two people that I would have never assumed would have a feud because Jimmy is just such a low-key guy who doesn't really start beef with anyone. But it all started when Kanye saw that Jimmy Kimmel had spoofed an interview the rapper did with BBC Radio in September of 2017 using child actors. And a stream of all capitalized tweets. West called Kimmel out of line and claimed his ex-girlfriend Sarah Silverman is 1,000 times funnier than him. Saying things like, "Jimmy Kimmel, put yourself in my shoes. Oh no, that means you would have gotten too much good pussy in your life." The comedian seemed to laugh off the insult by responding, "Apparently at Kanye West is very, very angry with me." And then asking if it's not too much trouble at Kanye West, would you mind using at Jimmy Kimmel? Thanks. Then finishing it off, "I like you too. Glad we cleared this up." Seriously, I think Jimmy is just one of those people it's impossible to stay mad at because thankfully he and Kanye cleared that one up pretty fast. Halfway through at number 5, we have Bette Midler versus Ariana Grande. Again, another super unexpected one. Bette started off this fight saying in an interview about Grande, "It's terrible. It's always surprising to see someone like Ariana Grande with that silly high voice, a very wholesome voice, slithering around on a couch looking so ridiculous." Bette continued saying, "I mean, it's silly beyond belief and I don't know who's telling her to do it. I wish they'd stop. But it's not my business, I'm not her mother. Or her manager. Maybe they tell them that's what you've got to do. Sex sells. Sex is always sold." So Ari decided to clap back with kindness at that time, as she is a huge fan of Midler's. Ari tweeted, "Bette was always a feminist who stood for women being able to do whatever the F they wanted without judgment. Not sure where that bet went, but I want that sexy mermaid back. Always a fan no matter what, my love." Then adding a picture of Bette in her younger years wearing mermaid lingerie. Ari continued saying, "And I will still quote the First Wives Club every single day of my life, LMAO." Ari's just so precious. Like after that I'm sure Bette was really regretting her snarky comments. Bette responded on Twitter saying, "About my screed on at Ariana Grande, all I can say is spoken like a reformed old whore. She does have a beautiful voice on a couch or off." So thankfully she used a little jab to herself to apologize to Ariana. Next up at number 4, Rob Kardashian versus Rita Ora. This online commotion began when Rob tweeted the following message before quickly deleting it saying, "She cheated on me with nearly 20 dudes while we were together. I wonder how many she will sleep with now that we're apart. But I mean 20? So Rob didn't name names, but pretty much everyone knew who he was talking about, because soon after, Rita began trending when everyone was pretty sure he was referencing Rita Ora. He followed up on the above saying, "How can a woman who is so busy trying to start her own career have the time to be with so many dudes while in a relationship?" He didn't stop there either, tweeting again, "When a woman cheats on you with one man, I can live with that. People make mistakes, trust me, but I've forgiven numerous times. But when a woman disrespects herself by messing with more than 20 men, all while being in a relationship with a faithful man." So here, Rob definitely did not hold back, and Rita never publicly responded, although they obviously broke up shortly after that. All I can say is, geez, what a mess. But if that's true, like, how did she possibly have the time to hook up with 20 dudes? Like, she deserves a Guinness World Record or something. Because I think locking down even one is like pretty hard for most women these days. In at number 3, we got Amanda Bynes versus Rihanna. The tirade began out of nowhere, with Amanda writing, "At Rihanna, you look so ugly trying to be white," followed within minutes by a message blaming the singer for being assaulted by her ex-boyfriend, Chris Brown. Then Bynes deleted her posts, but quickly came back to tweet, "Chris Brown, because you're not pretty enough." Big yikes. The actress then tweeted a post by Rihanna, "Look who came to see me, my lover Stella McCartney." To which Amanda then responded, "No one wants to be your lover, so you can call everyone and their mother that I almost named my new dog Rihanna." Honestly, I think I lost brain cells trying to understand that last one. Then Rihanna subtly clapped back saying, "You see what happens when they cancel intervention?" Amanda then clapped back saying, "Unlike your fugly face self, I don't do drugs. You need the intervention, dog. I met your ugly face in person. You aren't pretty, you know it." So this is just a huge mess, but I wish I could know what happened for Bynes to get all crazy for no reason. Like, she called Rihanna ugly so many times. I'm low-key convinced Rihanna like stole her man or something. Like, what would cause this random feud? Next at number 2, we have Chelsea Handler versus Nick Cannon. So this is another one that got way out of hand real fast. Chelsea Handler started it by tweeting, "I heard Nick Cannon is starting a comedy tour. Who's gonna do the comedy?" And although in my eyes, you know, that was just a lighthearted dig, Cannon fired back. Everybody knows at Chelsea Handler had sex with the head of E for her show. So when it's cancelled, does he get residual for the returns? Okay, what? Just a slight overreaction here. He also said, "Wow, at Chelsea Handler, I actually used to have respect for you as a comic, but for one artist to diss another in the same art form, #tasteless." But the feud turned ugly after Handler suggested he drink some grape soda before he tweeted at her again. The actor then dissed the comedian's past relationships and career in a handful of mean tweets. One such post read, "Just talked to 50 Cent and he said you made Chelsea Handler get G-Unit tattooed on her balls." I don't even know what that means. So yeah, just really unnecessary on both of their parts, and I hope there isn't too much bad blood between them. And finally for number 1, we got Kim K versus Taylor Swift. So here's that other T-Swift story if you were waiting for it. And this is one I'm sure we all know. Back when Kanye dropped his song Famous, Taylor quickly spoke out about the demeaning lyrics that were said about her. But Kanye defended himself by saying he asked Swift for permission to put the lyrics in the song, which Taylor denied, saying, "Being falsely painted as a liar when I was never given the full story or played any part of the song is character assassination." But what she didn't know is that Kim had recorded the whole interaction, and the world found out when Kim tweeted out that the proof was on her Snapchat, tweeting, "Wait, it's legit National Snake Day? Question mark. They have holidays for everybody. I mean, everything these days." Showing in the video that made it clear Swift knew about and approved the song before it was released, and people on Twitter started calling her a snake as a result. Then this started the infamous hashtag Kim exposed Taylor party. Then Taylor defended herself in a huge notes app photo that she posted to Twitter. Basically in summary just saying that she was mad Kanye never told her she would be referred to as that bitch in the song. But to most of us it looked like she was just trying to save face after being brutally called out with receipts.
Number 10, James Charles and Tati Westbrook. I say it like Tati because last time I called her Toddy or Tatty and you guys got mad, so I'm emphasizing the T. Tati. The feud between these two would end up with tons of subscribers gained and lost, lots of tea spilled, and views galore. After Tati posted her video Bye Sister, Charles lost about 2.5 million subscribers in 3 days, and Tati gained close to 3 million. I'm sorry if it's annoying the way I'm saying her name, guys, but you brought this upon yourselves. I want to just call her Tatty, but apparently it's not Tatty, it's Tati. A lot of people lost respect for Charles, who was accused of manipulating younger guys and using his fame and money to do so. It just really wasn't a good look for the makeup artist. However, when the feud would fizzle out and the two would make up, sorta, Charles would see his numbers go back to normal. Although the two seem to have moved on, it's unclear how often they speak. Tati removed the video from her channel and tweeted out that her and James have been speaking and both agreed it's in their best interest to move on from the feud. Neither have commented much on it since, although James did say it took a big toll on him and continues to do so as recently as November while shooting with Paper Magazine. Number 9, KSI and Logan Paul. Now whether or not this feud was for real will probably be debated until the end of time. Some say it was simply a ploy to make a lot of money, which they both certainly did. Of course, after their second bout, Logan said he respects KSI, and they seemingly squashed the beef, but I don't think it was necessarily as serious as it was first believed to be. I'm sure they didn't like each other, but if they saw each other walking down the street, I don't think they would go at it. Either way, this feud went on for about a year and a half and saw the two YouTubers make millions of dollars, fight each other twice in a boxing ring, and possibly set a new standard for YouTubers to settle their differences. It all started after KSI called the Pauls out following his win over Joe Weller. If any YouTuber wants it, you could come get it. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, any of the Pauls, I don't care. Who would have thought that little statement would have spawned not only 2 fights between Logan and KSI, but a rivalry between Deji and Jake Paul, tons of diss tracks, and of course create some YouTube history. In at number 8, we got Trisha Paytas and H3H3 Productions, more specifically Ethan Klein from H3H3. After Klein made a video titled Instagram vs. Reality and called out Trisha for completely changing the way she looks online using apps like Photoshop, she clapped back, tweeting out that Klein is a piece of and that he is cyberbullying. She went as far as telling Klein's wife, Hila, to divorce him. Of course, Klein had the best response ever to her Twitter tirade, quoting one of her tweets with, "Who is this rude person? I don't recognize her from her profile picture." Anyone know? Trisha was on H3's podcast as recently as October, where Ethan called Trisha out for lying about making money off of her I am transgender video. Although the two don't necessarily despise each other anymore, I feel there will always be some sort of rivalry or ill will here. Coming at number 7, Jalissa. That was the name of the alleged relationship between Jake Paul and Alyssa Violet. Some believe the two were never really together, others claim they were. Either way, it ended very publicly and led to a lot more drama regarding Jake, Team 10, and Alyssa. So the story here, Alyssa tweets out Jake rhymes with snake. She goes on a Twitter rant saying he wasn't there for her emotionally, was kicking her out of the Team 10 house, and always hooked up with other girls in front of her. Jake simply says things ended because Alyssa cheated. Alyssa dropped a massive video exposing Jake's terms with other Team 10 members and how strict he was in the house. Jake would end up feuding with Alyssa's new now ex-boyfriend Feuds Banks, but that's most likely going to be part of the follow-up video to this one. At number 6, we got Keemstar and Leafy. These two went at it for a little while, and this feud saw Leafy call out Keem for releasing others' personal information, falsely accusing innocent people of horrible crimes, and just being a hypocrite in general. Obviously, Keem fired back, claiming Leafy used sub-bots and made countless videos calling him out and documenting their rivalry. As you may or may not know, Leafy eventually quit YouTube altogether, but recently did an interview on Keem's show Drama Alert. It seems the two put the feud behind them, and although Leafy isn't back on YouTube yet, he may return in 2020. If that's the case, who knows if these two will team up or inevitably start tearing each other down again. At number 5, KSI vs Sidemen. Although this feud was totally fake, it definitely caught the attention of those involved in the YouTube community. Having some of the biggest YouTubers in the gaming community going at it with another big YouTuber, who was one of their best friends, is too good not to include here. Again, it was a fake feud, yes, but so much content and drama came from it. The diss tracks, which included about 15 music videos, KSI's brother Deji getting involved, and the millions of views that these guys amassed thanks to their fake feud, which lasted about 3.5 months, were good enough for the number 5 spot on this list. Number 4, we got the Paul brothers, Jake versus Logan. What started off as the two pranking each other quickly turned into some real serious low blows and the birth of the song / diss track, It's Everyday Bro. Logan would release a few songs of his own, which included a verse from Jake's most recent ex-girlfriend at the time, Alyssa Violet. Eventually the two would make up and focus on going further together, but many thought it was all a publicity stunt. Logan claimed the two weren't messing around and that they both took it a little too far. It's unclear if this was all just a ploy for views and money, or if the two were actually pissed at each other. They are known to be competitive and they are brothers, so maybe we saw a little public sibling rivalry. Coming at number 3, Nicole Arbor versus Matthew Santoro. This one. Yikes. Now let me say there are 3 sides to every story, his, hers, and the truth. I won't be taking sides here, just simply reporting on the information released online. In a nutshell, these two dated for about a year and had an incredibly public, rocky breakup. Santoro accused Arbor of dating him for fame, but more importantly, accused her of domestic. Arbor accused Santoro of jealousy, saying she's becoming more relevant than him, and denied that she ever abused him. Not only did she call Santoro a liar, but she also said he's a little Of course, Nicole got a ton of backlash for her comments, Santoro got tons of support, and although the two most likely aren't amicable, they seem to have moved on from each other for good. For now. At number 2, the FaZe Clan and Turner Tfue Tenny. The main reason this feud is number 2 is because it's incredibly real and could cost people tons of money. Unlike most of the feuds on this list, this one is actually currently being dealt with in court at the time of this recording. To summarize, Tfue signed a contract with the FaZe Clan. A few months and tons of success later, Tfue tried to get out of the contract, saying it was exploitative. There are claims that the contract allegedly stated that 80% of some of Tfue's earnings belonged to the FaZe Clan, although they denied ever taking so much. FaZe then launched a countersuit, which is now going to courts in New York, claiming Tfue violated his contract by disparaging the company and trying to start a rival team. We'll just have to wait and see how this one pans out, but geez, that's brutal. Could cost millions. And at the top spot, possibly the feud of the decade, PewDiePie versus T-Series. This feud saw the likes of some of YouTube's biggest names get involved. In a sense, it led to the YouTube community, for the most part, getting behind the king of YouTube, PewDiePie. However, Feuds would drop some content that would eventually get banned in India for its racist remarks toward Indian culture. Although Feuds would ultimately end up losing the battle, it still made headlines across some of the biggest news outlets in the world, such as CNN, Fox, the New York Times, and many other outlets.
Coming in hot at number 10, we got Kylie Jenner versus Vlada Haggerty. This one started when Kylie Cosmetics posted one of Vlada Haggerty's creations without giving her credit. The image was very recognizable. It is this image on the left that shows a woman's eyes covered by gold painted fingers, and the woman has dark wet lips. The image on the right was the one that was created for a future Kylie Cosmetics launch. I mean, you have to admit, although the pictures are not exactly the same, they are shockingly similar. Too similar. Vlada made a huge stink about it on Instagram. Stanky. It was stanky. She posted, "Really at Kylie Cosmetics? Haven't you gotten enough inspiration from me already? Left is the work I shot a few months ago and the right is Kylie Cosmetics' new campaign." At first, the brand changed the caption so it credited Vlada Haggerty, but they ended up deleting the whole post altogether. But this wasn't the end of the feud. Oh no. No. Months later, Kylie Cosmetics did the same thing again, only this time they copied another one of Vlada's signature looks, dripping wet metallic lips. Vlada had to get her lawyers involved because this is copyright infringement, and they forced the brand to tag her and credit her once again. This feud also started the hashtag #CreateOrCredit. Coming in at number 9, we got Jeffree Star versus Kylie Jenner. It seems like Jeffree has always had it out for Kylie. I mean, her makeup company is his makeup company's main competition. It's simply good business to criticize the competition. Jeffree and Kylie's feud goes all the way back to when Kylie launched her first Kylie Cosmetics lip products. But Jeffree wasn't a fan, specifically he wasn't a fan of the applicator. He tweeted about how much he hated the applicators, and pretty soon everyone was tweeting about it. Everyone was posting pictures of the faulty applicators, and Kylie ended up having to address the controversy in an apology video. She also sent a new wand to anyone who got a faulty applicator. Kylie never mentioned Jeffree, but that hasn't stopped him from taking credit for the improvement. But this wasn't the only time Jeffree and Kylie had it out for each other. Jeffree was removed from the Kylie Cosmetics PR list in February of 2018. He also famously criticized Kylie for using the same packaging as his liquid lipsticks. Coming in at number 8, James Charles versus Marlena Stell. It all began when Marlena Stell, CEO of Makeup Geek, posted 3 tweets. They said, "Filming today for a special documentary that airs 2019 with Netflix. Huge props to Netflix for showing behind the scenes of the beauty industry. Who wants to watch it when it comes out? Let Netflix know how big this community is." So I guess James saw these tweets and lashed out at Marlena Stell with a tweet of his own. "Hi at Netflix, let's make a documentary on behind the scenes of the beauty industry and why the community is plummeting. I already have a full outline of it done that highlights faults on all sides in a non-biased way, and a platform of millions that want to know more. Email me." Whoa! Talk about petty. But it seems like James was lashing out after one of Marlena's videos where she talked about how entitled influencers overcharge small beauty brands like Makeup Geek for posts. Most people thought Marlena was talking about James. James followed up his tweet with this one. "This woman knows nothing about the industry other than blaming her bad business decisions and personal issues on influencers. At Netflix, this is absurd, and I'd love to get in a room together to show you the non-biased outline I've already made on this subject that documents all sides." So needless to say, this did not go over well with Marlena or Netflix actually. Not only did someone like James Charles, someone who was barely 21 at the time and had very little experience with running a makeup company, it got Marlena in trouble with Netflix. James also blatantly disrespected Marlena by calling her that woman, which is like, I'm sorry, that woman? Nah. You know my name. My guess is he thought Marlena was gonna out him and talk about him in the documentary, when it turns out that the documentary had nothing to do with the drama in the beauty community. It was all about the chemicals and waste in beauty products. Coming in hot at number 7, Jordyn Woods versus Khloe Kardashian. In early 2019, there were rumors going around that Kylie Jenner's best friend Jordyn Woods was seen with the father of Khloe Kardashian's child, Tristan Thompson, getting quite cozy at a party. After Jordyn did a tell-all interview with Jaden Pickett Smith, where Jordyn told her version of the events, the tides turned. She alleges that Tristan Thompson kissed her when she was leaving the after party, and she insists that she's not a homewrecker. Khloe then fired back with this tweet. "Why are you lying, Jordyn Woods? If you're going to try and save yourself by going public, instead of calling me privately to apologize first, at least be honest about your story. By the way, you are the reason my family broke up." Okay. According to Jordyn, she did reach out to Khloe and say she would do whatever it took for her peace of mind. Anyways, this is the Kardashians we're talking about, so it could be that a lot of this drama was played up for their reality show. Jordyn is now back in the family's good graces, and also she conveniently announced the launch of her own clothing line right after the episode about this drama aired. In at 6, Jeffree Star versus Kat Von D. This feud happened right when I started working at I.O, and I will never forget it. Kat Von D was to Jeffree what Tati was to James Charles. She was his mentor and she helped him become everything he is today. But Kat Von D publicly dumped Jeffree Star with a social media post back in 2016. The caption read, "After years of making excuses for and rationalizing Jeffree's inappropriate behavior, including promoting abuse, racism, and bullying, I can no longer hold my tongue after recent events. I know that over the years many of you were introduced to Jeffree through me, and regardless if you choose to continue to follow him or not, I just would like to disassociate myself from him and his brand from this point on. I plan on posting a video explanation as to why I felt compelled to make such a statement, but for the time being I simply want to apologize to anyone and everybody who's ever had to deal with any of his negativity. And yes, with a heavy heart, I will be pulling the shade Jeffree from my collection. Sending extra love to everyone out there." So essentially the catalyst to this whole thing was Jeffree supposedly owed Kat's friend BJ money because BJ created the logos for Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and apparently Jeffree never paid him for that. Anyways, it worked out. Jeffree paid BJ, but Jeffree and Kat still aren't friends anymore. In fact, both Jeffree and Kat throw shade at each other on social media once in a while. Coming in at number 5, Manny MUA versus Matt Walsh. Back in January of 2017, Matt Walsh tweeted a photo of Manny with the caption, "Dads, this is why you need to be there to raise your sons." This tweet got a hefty amount of backlash, and Manny responded with, "My dad actually works for me and is so proud of me. Sorry about it." Manny then posted a text conversation between him and his dad where his dad calls out Matty Walsh. The text said, "Mr. Walsh, this is Manny Sr. Let me first begin by telling you that I've always been there for my son and I will always be there for him. Not only am I proud of what he's accomplished, but I'm more proud of the person he has become. I know the words you speak are from a lack of knowing anybody from the LGBT community. If you did, you would soon realize they are some of the most real and kind-hearted individuals that walk this planet of ours. Going forward, I would choose your actions and words wisely. Just like you would do anything for your family, I would do for mine. Good day, sir." Nothing like getting daddy involved. I do not incite violence, I do not encourage violence, but also my dad would punch you. In at 4 on our list, Amanda Seyfried versus Ariel Sharnas. Back in July of 2019, Amanda Seyfried threw some serious shade on a photo posted to social media by Ariel Sharnas, aka Something Navy on Instagram. It was this photo with the caption, "Proud of my body after 2 kids. Everything normal, right?" Wrong! I guess Amanda saw this and was really pissed off. Seyfried, who has a 2-year-old daughter, wrote this: "Hate to dump on you, but since you asked, totally fine that you're privileged and thin. Good for you, I am too-ish. Got no problem with either of those things. But if you don't acknowledge how your wealth made your workout/body possible, you are just perpetuating the patriarchal, totally unrealistic notion that mothers should bounce back after childbirth. An impossibility for anyone who can't afford ample childcare, which is almost everyone in this country. Lots to unpack here, I know. And 2, honey child, you are glorifying an unhealthy body image. I don't care if it's natural, don't even try that with me. In a society that already fetishizes the adolescent female form, young girls don't need any more images of emaciated women, thank you very much. 3. Oh yes, there's the 3. I know you are better than this. Why not use your platform to encourage more women to be ambitious businesswomen? Or say, run for office. Sheesh, I don't know, do something to help the kids literally dying in cages. But what do I know? You do you." Whoa, okay. Someone's a little bit touchy about her baby body. That escalated very quickly. Ariel blocked Amanda from her Instagram after seeing this comment and said she felt bullied and punished because she's thin. Seyfried was criticized for her harshness and ended up apologizing for the way she went about it. She said, "The only thing I'd take back is exactly how I started this debate. I desperately wish I hadn't targeted one person. There are many who engage in this questionable messaging, and instead started a cleaner, general conversation." Yeah, that would have been nice. Yeah. But you didn't, did ya? Coming in at 3, Dramageddon. This feud involved YouTube's top beauty influencers: Gabriel Zamora, Laura Lee, Manny MUA, Nikita Dragon, and of course, Jeffree Star. Now, all of these influencers used to be friends but had a public falling out. Jeffree did his first documentary with Shane Dawson, and in it he was portrayed in a very favorable light despite his problematic racist past. Gabriel posted this photo of the 4 influencers together, middle fingers up, with the caption, "Bitch is bitter because without him, we're doing better." Followed by, "Imagine standing a racist, I could never." This is a clear reference to Jeffree and everyone knew it. But after this, all of Twitterdom dug up the past of every influencer involved in this feud, and also tweets that showed all 4 of them being blatantly racist and bigoted on Twitter and other platforms. Publicly. Gabriel made an apology video and his views went up. So did Manny MUA. Nikita Dragon apologized on Instagram but said the tweets about her were fake. Laura Lee, however, lost everything. Brand deals, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, especially after her horrible, drooly apology video. Laura has been inactive on social media ever since, and we all know how Jeffree Star is doing. Coming in at number 2 now, Elizabeth Arden versus Helena Rubinstein. I decided to add another feud to this list that actually took place back in the 1940s and 50s. This is, after all, the top 10 most dramatic influencer feuds of all time. Way back then, all anyone could talk about was this feud between cosmetics legends Elizabeth Arden and Helena Rubinstein. Although these two never met in real life, they duked it out in the media for more than 50 years. They stole each other's employees, copied each other's products, and threw shade in the papers. In 1937, Arden poached Rubinstein's HR honcho, who brought 11 employees with him. And then Rubinstein got even by hiring Elizabeth Arden's ex-husband as her publicist. Talk about savage. Beauty influencers, take note. Y'all don't come close to this. Elizabeth Arden once said, "With her packaging and my product, we could have ruled the world." This feud was so bad they wouldn't even refer to each other by name. But it also left a lasting impression. If it weren't for this rivalry, we wouldn't have waterproof mascara. The pair made millions from their hatred of each other, and it still makes money today. A Broadway musical was made about the feud. It's called War Paint, based on a biography by Lindy Woodhead. So how did this feud end? They battled it out to the death. Rubenstein died in 1965 at age 92 and Arden died 18 months later. In an interview shortly before her death, Arden said, "Poor Helena." But according to the reporter, Arden's voice was sad, but her eyes were triumphant. Ooh, I just got chills. Alright, I honestly kinda wanted to make that one number 1, but I mean, it was the 1940s and 50s, so could they be called influencers? I don't know. I just thought it was a really cool story that I wanted to tell you guys about. But at number 1 on our list, there is no surprise here, James Charles and Tati Westbrook. This is the most dramatic influencer feud on our list, and let's face it, it all started over beauty vitamins, which is so friggin' dramatic. James Charles did a sponsored post for Sugar Bear Hair in the spring of 2019. He alleges that he only made the post because the Sugar Bear Hair team helped him out with a tough situation at Coachella. Well, Tati saw this post as a stab in the back because it directly undermined her own beauty vitamin company, Halo. So then Tati made her buy sister video where she not only dumped James Charles for stabbing her in the back over vitamins, but also accused him of being a because he likes to turn straight men gay. Allegedly. Afterwards, Jeffree Star seemingly confirmed these allegations in a tweet, and he called James a danger to society. The internet was losing it. And when James posted his first apology video, the situation got much worse. He lost 3 million subs in the matter of days, until James fired back with his second apology video, No More Lies, where he addresses and debunks nearly every claim made by Tati in her video. James, Tati, and Jeffree likely settled things behind closed doors, but this feud left such a lasting impression on the YouTube community that Social Blade changed its website so that only 10K bulks of subscribers are documented on their analytics to prevent people from mass unsubscribing the way they did with the James Charles drama.
And at number 10, Drake. This is easily Kanye's most notorious feud that came to a head once again in 2021 during the release of both of their albums. Back in 2009, these two were friends and often spoke of how much they respected one another's work. But sadly, over time that started to change, and the pair started taking shady digs at one another, like when Drake started dating Amber Rose shortly after her and Kanye split. But things looked good once again in 2015 when they collaborated on a Big Sean song and they hinted at a collaboration album. But things got tense once again in 2018 when Pusha T released Drake diss track called Infrared, which Kanye produced. The song accused Drake of having a ghostwriter. Then shortly after, Pusha dropped the story of Adidon, which exposed that Drake had a love child. The pair got into another feud when Drake seemingly referenced Kim Kardashian on his song and did not deny the hookup rumors. Things were turned up once again in 2021 after Drake dissed Kanye on a song. In response, Kanye doxed Drake and shared the exact location of Drake's Toronto home, even though everyone pretty much already knew the address anyway. This resulted in both of their albums getting tons of press for their releases, so maybe it was just all for show. And at number 9, Kris Jenner. It is not uncommon for married couples to hate their in-laws, but sadly Kanye made his feud with momager Kris Jenner way too public. During one of Kanye's unhinged Twitter rants, he came after several members of the family, specifically Kris Jenner. In the tweets, Kanye called Kris Jenner Kris Jong-un and accused the Kardashians of white supremacy. He also accused the pair of wanting to lock him up. One tweet read, quote, "Kris, don't play with me. You and your Kanye are not allowed around my children. Y'all tried to lock me up," referencing Kris's boyfriend, Corey Gamble. At the same time, Kim was desperately trying to get Kanye help and asked the public to be empathetic towards his struggles. And at number 8, Wiz Khalifa. Kanye has feuded with a number of rappers over the years, and I think it's safe to say this one with Wiz Khalifa was the strangest. Back in 2016, Wiz tweeted that he wasn't happy with Kanye changing the name of his album, The Life of Pablo, from Swish to Waves. Wiz felt that he was stealing the wavy movement from rapper Max B. Kanye seemed to take the criticism and later tweeted out his admiration of Max B. But things later got nasty when Wiz tweeted, quote, "Hit this KK and become yourself." Most understood that Wiz was referencing his own product in that tweet, but Kanye thought he was name-dropping his wife, Kim Kardashian, so Kanye lost it. Kanye went off in 10 tweets, calling Wiz's music corny and saying nobody listens the whole way through. However, Kanye later tweeted that he was confused about Wiz's tweet and now knows that it was not a reference to Kim. Kanye then tweeted in support of Wiz, saying he liked his style and told his team to get the pants that Wiz was wearing. After the clarification, Kanye deleted a majority of his tweets, mainly those targeting Wiz, but the whole thing was just pretty head-scratching. And at number 7, 50 Cent. Yet another rapper Kanye has feuded with was 50 Cent. It started back in 2007 when Kanye changed the release date of his upcoming album to be the exact same day as 50 Cent's. Originally it was supposed to drop on September 18th, but Kanye moved it up 1 week to be on the 11th. Graduation sold 957,000 units and easily blasted 50 Cent, who lost the sales battle by selling 691,000 copies. This was a huge moment in Kanye's career, and with this moment he officially became the king of rap. At that time, 50 Cent said he would never release a solo album again if Graduation beat out Curtis, but when it did, he didn't keep his promise, and he's released multiple albums since. Then in 2019, 50 Cent stirred up trouble by making fun of Kanye's clothing line, saying, quote, "What in the spare some change type is this?" And at number 6, Travis Scott. This feud was very awkward considering Travis has dated Kylie Jenner on and off for years, Kim's half-sister, and the pair have a child together, which means that these men are linked together for the rest of their lives. In 2018, Kanye dragged Travis into his long-standing feud with Drake. Travis had posted a selfie on Instagram wearing a Nike sweatshirt, which Kanye felt was a betrayal because Kanye had a business relationship with Adidas, who was a huge competitor of Nike's. The feud continued when Drake and Travis collaborated on Travis' hit song, Sicko Mode. The lyric in the song about preferring checks over stripes, aka Nike's signature logo, to Adidas upset Kanye. Kanye later tweeted, quote, "How you gonna be on Trav's song and come at me? Trav should have never allowed that." He later added, "Meeting with Travis tonight, but it never be checks over stripes," line again on a Travis song. Kylie later confirmed that the feud had been settled when she tweeted, quote, "Everyone is good, moved on, living life. For anyone who wasn't aware, Travis has a deal with Nike and still does. Point is, it's all been talked out, it's only positive energy." Halfway number 5, Jay-Z. This feud is really sad because beforehand Kanye and Jay-Z were incredibly close and would even consider themselves to be family. But after Kanye lashed out at Jay one too many times, Jay decided to drop him. Tension started back in 2009 when Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech to say that Beyoncé deserved the award instead. Jay-Z and Beyoncé hated how awkward that it was and felt it pulled the couple into unnecessary drama. Tension also developed when Jay-Z did not attend Kanye's wedding to Kim Kardashian. Then during his Pablo tour, Kanye lashed out at Jay-Z on stage. He said, quote, "Don't call me after the robbery and say, how you feeling? You wanna know how I'm feeling? Come by the house. Bring the kids by the house. Like we're brothers, let's sit down." Jay-Z clapped back on album 444, where he rapped, quote, "I know people backstab you. I feel bad too. But this F everybody attitude ain't natural. But you ain't the same, this ain't kumbaya, but you got hurt because you did kumbaya. You gave him 20 million without blinking, he gave you 20 minutes on stage, F was he thinking?" Exposing that he gave Kanye $20 million when he was broke. In at number 4, Jimmy Kimmel. Sadly, this feud could have been lighthearted, but in true Kanye fashion, he brought it up a notch. In September of 2013, Kimmel poked fun at Kanye West on his show Jimmy Kimmel Live, after Kanye declared on a podcast that he was the biggest rock star in the world. Jimmy Kimmel mockingly asked, quote, "Does Kanye West know he's not supposed to be his own hype man?" Days later, Kanye responded in his usual fashion on Twitter, where he wrote in all caps, quote, "Jimmy Kimmel is out of line to try and spoof in any way the first piece of honest media in years." And at number 3, Taylor Swift. We all know about the epic feud between Taylor and Kanye that has not gotten better over time. It all started on September 13th of 2009 at the VMAs. She went up to accept her award when Kanye ran up on stage, stole the mic, and said, quote, "Yo Taylor, I'm really happy for you, I'ma let you finish, but Beyoncé had one of the best videos of all time." This horrible decision led to the decade-long feud. The next day, Kanye apologized, but later rescinded the apology, claiming he was forced into apologizing to Taylor. Tensions were lessened for a few years until Kanye dropped Famous in 2016 and referenced Taylor in the song, saying that they still might sleep together and calling her the B word. Amid public outcry, Kanye's wife, Kim Kardashian, posted videos of Taylor and Kanye discussing the song, with the latter sounding like she approved it. After a year of disappearing in August of 2017, Taylor responded with her own track, Look What You Made Me Do. The pair's fans still fight over who was wrong in the situation, but it's clear this feud will never truly be resolved. And at number 2, Amber Rose. The public feud that Kanye had with his ex, Amber Rose, has to be the messiest, because some secrets were exposed I'm sure they never wanted to get out. It all started in 2008, when the couple started seeing each other. The pair were together for 2 years before splitting in 2010. Tension started brewing when she dated Wiz Khalifa right after, and the pair ended up getting married. After they split, Tyga started dating Kylie Jenner, which means nothing until you learn that China and Amber Rose are best friends. So Amber was involved in the feud with the Kar-Jenner family. Then Kanye went on The Breakfast Club and said about Amber, quote, "It's very hard for a woman to be with a man who's dated Amber," and that he had to take 30 showers before he got with Kim. Kanye also discussed Tyga's relationship with Kylie and said he thought that Tyga got in early and Tyga was smart. Amber responded by tweeting the craziest thing I have ever seen, quote, "Aw, Kanye West, are you mad I'm not around to play in your hole anymore? Hashtag fingers in the booty ass b." Yikes, that is so messy. Later, Amber admitted she regretted the tweets. And finally, at number 1, Pete Davidson. Since Kim has started publicly dating Pete Davidson following her divorce from Kanye, Kanye's latest target is Pete. In a track released last week by Kanye West and The Game, Ye rapped, quote, "God saved me from that crash just so I can beat Pete Davidson," referencing his 2002 car crash. Kanye also trashed Kim during an interview, saying, quote, "How are you gonna bring me to SNL and then kiss the dude you're dating right in front of me?" But apparently Pete is not worried over the threats and thinks they are hilarious. A source said, quote, "Pete thinks it's totally hilarious. Not just that, he thinks the whole tabloid drama with him, West, and Kardashian is hilarious. He loves it." Apparently the newfound feud with Kanye has even brought Pete and Kim closer together. The feud is even messier now that Kanye is publicly dating actress Julia Fox.